Hello, algebra students. Let's review how we can see these geometry formulas can involve solving multi-step equations. Or anyway, the two skills intersect. So if you don't have it, pause the video, go get your formula sheet and your calculator. You'll want both. Find the height of a trapezoid with an area of 60 square feet and bases of 10 feet and 14 feet. So hitting up your formula sheet, no, you're not going to find the height of a trapezoid formula, but you will find the area of a trapezoid formula, which has height in it. So that will help us out. So the area of a trapezoid formula says A is equal to 1/2 times the height times the quantity of the two bases, or the sum of the two bases. Base 1 plus base 2. Okay, after the formula, right, we put in the information we know. So what do we know? We know it has an area of 60 feet. Okay, area is A, so I'm going to trade out the A for 60. Or 60 square feet, sorry, not regular feet, but you don't need the unit when we plug in. And that's going to be equivalent to, don't lose your number 1/2, you guys, even if you hate it. Let's see. Next thing in my formula is an H. Oh, H is what we're finding. So we'll leave that an H. Leave letters for mysteries. Now, there was a parentheses grouping, the base 1 plus the base 2. Don't lose that, okay? Some students accidentally turn that into numbers multiplying, but it's supposed to be a group of B1 plus B2. And those just mean the first base and the second base, and it really doesn't matter which one you call which. So I don't know, first base and second base, sure, are supposed to be adding together. All right. Now, why did this get included in multi-step equations? Well, because look, I need to solve for H, but it's not really that straightforward yet. There's some simplifying I can do. So when I'm simplifying, I follow that order of operations, and I work any groupings first. And I sure do see a grouping here, 10 plus 14. Let's do that. 10 plus 14 is 24. So this 24 was in parentheses, shoved up against this H, which was shoved up against this 1/2. And that whole thing is equal to 60. Now, what's going on here? This looks a little gross, but notice what I have. I have 1/2, H, and 24 are all shoved up together. They're all multiplying. And the nice news is when you just have a bunch of numbers multiplying, you can multiply in any order you want. We're going to use that to our advantage to make this still even simpler by multiplying the numeric portions together. So 1/2 times 24. You can do that in your calculator, or you can do that by remembering what we talked about way back in Crucial Basics, that multiplying by fraction, that's just scaling it down. So you can say to yourself, what's 1/2 of 24? Well, it's 12. 1/2 times 24 is 12. Now I used up that piece and that piece, but I still have that H multiplying with that I can't multiply in since it's a mystery. And new equation is 60 equals 12H. Well, I couldn't multiply it in, but guess what? I can get rid of it doing the opposite. I'll divide it away then. And I can do that as long as I keep my two expressions equivalent. Keep that relationship between the left and the right-hand side. Multiplying and dividing by 12 are opposites. They cancel. H is alone just like I wanted. And 60 divided by 12 is 5. Now, we do need to face the fact that this is a word problem. So that's 5 something. So let's see. We are doing height. And we have areas and bases of feet, and feet. So this height will be 5 feet. And a lot of students go, 5 square feet. It's an area problem, miss. Yeah, the area is in square feet. You'll see that little 2. But the height is just a line. So it's 5 regular feet. All right. Find the radius to the nearest inch of a cylinder with a height of 10 inches and a volume of 157 cubic inches. Again, hitting up the GED formula sheet, you will see we don't have the radius of a cylinder formula, but we sure do have the volume of a cylinder formula, and it has radius in it nicely. So volume of a cylinder formula is V is equal to pi r squared h, and we'll plug in what we know. first letter I see is volume. Do we know the volume? Yep, we do. Volume of 157 cubic inches. So I'll put in the 157. Remember, you don't need that. Inches cubed, that's a unit, not a math to do. And that's going to be equivalent to pi is not a variable. It's a fixed number, but it's an ugly one. But formula sheet says you can use that rounded version of 3.14, so I will. Next thing I see in my formula is R. Do I know my R? Ooh, R's what I'm finding. So R is still there with the square on it. Don't drop the square. A lot of students do that. Then this H is shoved up here. That means that H is multiplying. And do I know the H? Yep, height of 10 inches. Great. Once again, if we can, let's simplify before we solve. And we can. Now, careful. A lot of students will tell me, I got to square something. Well, you can't do the squaring. As much as I'd like to, it's R that's being squared, not 3.14, not 10. That square is only attached to that R. That's R, all it's multiplying. So I can't do the squaring. However, another way to think of this is that 3.14, R squared, and 10 are all shoved together. They're all multiplying. So just like on the last example, I could still multiply in any order I want. So I can make my life simpler by multiplying together the two number portions that aren't variables. So you can do that in your calculator if you need to. But 3.14 times 10 is going to give me 31.4. And now that R squared is just shoved on the back side. And that's going to be equal to 157. Woo! Now this might be the first time we've solved an equation like this. I'm excited. We're really picking it up, guys. Now R's not alone. I'm going to slow down just a little bit. Can you see how there's two things hanging out here? There's that 31.4 shoved in front. So what's it doing? Multiplying. And there's that exponent on R, that square. Now remember, when you're solving, you work the order of operations backwards. So no, we don't have anything adding and subtracting, but we need to take anything multiplying next. I'm going to divide by 31.4. And I can do whatever I want as long as I do it to both sides. 31.4. So multiplying and dividing by 31.4 opposites, they cancel. What's left on that right-hand side? R squared. And on your left-hand side, we're going to do some calculator work, and it's going to get ugly. It almost always does when we have cylinders. That's okay. 157 divided by 31.4. Oh, I was a liar. It wasn't ugly. It was just 5. All right. Not done yet, though. I still have to deal with that square. So we got to do the opposite of squaring. Opposite of squaring is square rooting. So I'm going to square root both sides. Square and square root cancel. R's alone just like I wanted. And do the square root of 5 in your calculator because that's kind of ugly. So hit the green second button, and then the square root button is right above x squared. Type in 5, enter, and my calculator returned the same answer. It said square root of 5. What in the world? You don't probably want that on this problem. Look how it has some rounding directions to the nearest inch. Big clue that I want a decimal, so hit the quick convert button, guys. It looks like this. It's right above enter, and it will tell you that the square root of 5 is kind of ugly. 2.236, yada, yada, yada. All right, now it says find the radius to the nearest inch of a... Well, that's way off. That's okay. Radius to the nearest inch means nearest whole unit. I'm going to round up the decimal place. So consider the next number, the one I'm about to throw away. That is not 5 or higher. I will say the radius of this guy is about 2 inches. All right. Wow, that was challenge mode with this one. If you found it really challenging, I bet you did. We just did a lot of new skills in that one, but strong work for tracking with me. All right, you guys, super proud of you. Happy learning.